Violence against women is one of the most widespread human rights violations worldwide. The rise of the use of internet and other ICTs has led to the emergence of new forms of violence and abuse against women in online spaces. Pakistani women often find themselves being harassed and policed online. This is often from male members of their own communities. These forms of violence and abuse online are a manifestation of existing discrimination and violence in society offline. These are rooted in the same systems of patriarchy, oppression and gender inequalities. Kandil Baloch was one of the first Pakistani women to reclaim her sexuality openly online. It was seen as a shame upon her small village in Pakistan, and her brother responded by killing her in the name of defending the family honour. Kandil's case is not unique and not limited to Pakistan. As transference of culture is one of the features of migration, British Pakistani women often find themselves in the same predicament. Abaida Ahmed, the first female Muslim Pakistani counsellor for Wolverhampton, tells us about her experiences of online harassment.
I had some people in the local mosques who were quite influential in the mosques. They were saying Islamically it's not allowed for us to support a female. We shouldn't have a female leader in the community. It's not Islamic. I just ignored it. I thought, you know what, they need to get with the times, really. I'm not trying to lead the prayer, and I'm not trying to be a leader of the mosque. It's a community leader, it's a community role, and it's about me being someone who can support them, facilitate the community to get better. So that's how I saw it. They were all from men. Nobody directly said anything to me, but they were putting things on their own pages, like I said, that we shouldn't be following that person, and we need to be having good role models for our daughters, and do we really want our daughters and sisters to be out there doing this kind of thing? But that was very initially, before they knew me and they knew what my role was going to be and what I would be doing in the role, kind of thing. So I think maybe they were genuinely scared that you don't know where this is going to take the next generation of women. Because I am the first female Muslim counsellor in Wolverhampton, so it's a big thing.
Muslim Pakistani women face a triple penalty of faith, race and gender. Dia Khan, British documentary maker and human rights activist, publicly speaks about the abuse she experiences from people within and outside her community, again highlighting the particularities Pakistani women face in both online and offline spaces.
As time went on, the more successful I became, I eventually started also attracting harassment from brown people. Some men in my parents' community felt that it was unacceptable and dishonorable for a woman to be involved in music and to be so present in the media. So very quickly, I was starting to become attacked at my own concerts. I remember one of the concerts, I was on stage, I leaned in to the audience, and the last thing I see is a young brown face, and the next thing I know is some sort of chemical is thrown in my eyes. And I remember I couldn't really see, and my eyes were watering, but I kept singing anyway. I was spit in the face in the streets of Oslo, this time, by brown men. They even tried to kidnap me at one point. The death threats were endless. I remember one older bearded guy stopped me in the street one time and he said, "The reason I hate you so much is because you make our daughters think they can do whatever they want."
There are countless Pakistani women who face online abuse from their own people. Malala Yousafzai, Pakistani activist and Nobel Peace Prize winner, slandered by online trolls for wearing jeans, and Farial Makhdoom, wife of boxer Amir Khan, constantly targeted for the way she chooses to dress. What is clear from the comments in these clips is that they're almost always about the way women should dress or act. A lot of the time, religion is used to justify these views. These views are from men with only one view of the world, and it's about what they believe. We can take the example of the recent No Outsiders protests outside Parkfield School in Birmingham. Labour's Jess Phillips said they were being organised by a group of 12 angry men. Shakil Afsar, the leader of these protests, strongly believed that the No Outsiders lessons were contradicting Islamic moral values. Similarly, Salamat Khan from Manchester was found guilty of engaging in coercive behaviour towards two of his daughters and his wife. He believed that his daughters were living a westernized lifestyle. He tried to restrict them from going out and instead wanted them to cook and clean for him in what he believed was a traditional Islamic household. Brother Abbas Khan was also convicted of coercive behaviour. Many of these cases go unreported because women are afraid to speak out in fear of backlash. Men who hold these views about the ways in which women should behave use social media and online abuse as a form of control. These tactics are used to silence women. A lot of the women who are subjected to online harassment have to resort to deleting their profiles and withdrawing from social media. I interviewed 2 women who have both been through this.
He first added me on Facebook, and initially I just ignored it. Just thought it was just someone else just adding me. I don't know who you are. We've got mutual friends, but I've never seen you, don't know you, whatever. But he was quite persistent and he kept messaging me, and I thought, he seems quite different. So I replied to him. We had like a nice conversation, and honestly, it was like we just kind of clicked, and eventually we did become more or less best friends. Like, he was my best guy friend. I started talking to someone else, whereas before I didn't, and he didn't like it, and he started to become very jealous. He would blackmail me through texts and phone calls and emails saying, you know, you have to come meet me, you have to come see me now. And before I used to ignore it, whatever, it's just little threats. But when he was going through with the threats, and I go to see him, I'd try and stand my ground. Like, you know, we would argue over it. I'd be like, you don't have a right over me. And it did become physical, so he would hit me, or he would like try and grab me if I tried walking away, things like that. I didn't tell anyone, or I felt like there was no one to help me, because I felt like I can't tell my parents. They're going to be like, from an Asian like background, why are you talking to him? You shouldn't have talked to him in the first place. I felt that the community would judge me as well. You know, that's what you get if you talk to a guy, a random guy. And I felt like part of it was my fault. Anytime I get message requests, I automatically delete everything. I don't spend as much time as I used to. I don't try and put myself out there as much as I used to on social media. I'm very careful with what I post, including images, anything with family, anything that's personal, like my details, my address, phone number, anything that could link back to me and where I live and things like that.
When I was about 19, a family friend of mine, he asked for my hand in marriage, and my parents, they automatically said no. About a week later, I'd say, I started getting inboxes of pictures of naked women. He'd been sending me pictures of naked bodies with my face on these bodies. And I heard that he'd been spreading rumours about me, things about my purity. I was humiliated. And I stopped leaving the house, I stopped going out, because I felt really depressed during these times, and I was basically disconnected from the outside world. I noticed stares and whispers every time I left the house. This whole situation did not settle for many, many years. I haven't been back on Facebook since then. What I've learned from this whole experience is be careful with what you put online. I mean, yes, you shouldn't have to think twice whenever you put a selfie up, but you have to think of the consequences sometimes and try and be a little bit more aware of who you're adding and how public you're making your account.
Pakistani women's experiences of online harassment are different in the sense that they are more complex, because they cannot speak about these things openly due to the conservative Pakistani culture. Nigat Dad is an internet activist and the founder of the Digital Rights Foundation, the first ever online harassment helpline in Pakistan. She speaks about online abuse and doxing and explains how it is used to silence women on the internet.
First of all, it's very hard to find this space on internet to voice your opinion, and if these opinions are related to politics or the issues which normally women are not supposed to talk about, they get a lot of backlash, and this is the way that people try to silence them, especially the people who are or the men or the forces who are threatened by women's voices. So this is the kind of abuse that they face, but it's mostly, you know, the threats that they that they receive on their, whatever they say, the rape threats, the doxing, their personal details being, out on the internet, and also, like their pictures being photoshopped, and so this is the kind of stuff that and it's basically an effort to silence them and tell them that these can be the repercussions if they will voice if they will keep voicing their opinions, especially related to politics and the and when they try to break stereotypes.
Online harassment is used to silence women, but what if the only way to break free from it is to not be silenced?